We are here today to meet with the Highway Building Committee, Thursday, February 8th at 10:30 a.m. Call to order, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So first, discuss the Hawks Avenue project. What is there to discuss? Because
I put that to bed last.
I thought so too. I thought that was a done
Just
deal.
that it's been approved for the brownfield and they got the grant. So now it's
so
eligible.
the Hawks Ave has been approved for the Massachusetts One-Stop Brownfield for $100,000. We have contracted with Fernandez, Tracy Costa, and Josh, and his last name escapes me, but they are LSPs who are going to be helping us with the evaluation of the ground pollution out there. We were also awarded through the Old Colony Planning Council Brownfields grant for that property. However, there's a question of whether we qualify for it because that's under the EPA, and one of their requirements is that we take the property and we do our due diligence to evaluate and assess the ground pollution, and we did not do that at the time that we took the gift. We accepted the gift. So there's a question of whether we are eligible for that grant through the Old Colony Planning Council. So that's kind of on hold, but at least we've got the $100,000 through the One Stop.
So what was that other grant? How much was it going to be? Do we know?
I don't know. They were awarded a total of $500,000. So two properties actually in Hanson. Light Control was one, 1057 Main Street is the other one, but we don't own 1057 Main Street
yet.
And the difficulty on that one, which we're not really
Right, we're not supposed to talk about that one.
We're not supposed to talk about that, so we'll just kind of cross over that one.
So
that's where we are with Hawks Ave at this point. And we do have somebody out there who was out there, what about 2-3 weeks ago now? Mm-hmm. He's conducting a market analysis appraisal of the property to let us know what the value of it would be for like leasing the property. So I'm waiting on that.
The building's secure now, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I check on them periodically.
Okay, good. All right. So now update for proposed highway building feasibility study.
Okay.
Who's going to take that?
So we did receive the report from Weston and Sampson, but it looks like all this really was a environmental study.
Yeah, they said that
there really wasn't a feasibility study. It was just an environmental study.
Yeah, that's like there was 2 stages. I think, Tony, stage 1 and stage 2. In stage 1, they were evaluating the layout of the land, the boundaries.
Yep.
And before they go to finish stage 1, which would be the second part, would be like a building study part of it.
Yep.
But they recommended to make sure that we're going to be able to move the fields and all that before they proceed with that. And then once they do that building study, to my understanding, they were going to do phase 2, which would be all the core drilling and all the, total evaluation of the property to see if there's anything there that would preclude us from using it, I think. But it's all kind of contingent upon what happens at McQuon Street, because we don't want to pay all this money to do these studies if it's not going to be able to move the fields up there. So we're kind of in limbo. Yeah. And I think they have to still approve the new layout to incorporate the skate park and the other ball field. That has to all be configured into that property too before they can proceed.
So here's my question. I mean, Hawks Ave, obviously there was pollution there. That's why all those restrictions were on the deed.
Yeah.
Why wasn't this level of concern voiced with Hawks Ave?
Yep.
Yeah, that was
where we know there was all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah.
But yet, you're already here, and now there's all this level of concern of what's in the ground there.
Well, no, they just have to do the evaluation before they can get the permitting and all that as part of the process. But they want to make sure that the fields are going to be able to be moved before we,
How long has the highway barn been there? I don't know.
Oh, I think
70s.
Since the 70s?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was 68.
Okay, so where was it before? Just curious. Or what did one not exist?
Nothing existed.
Nothing existed. Okay.
I heard there was something on Shaw's or something.
Where the Shaw's is now.
Yeah, some that's what some of the old timers said. That's
Well,
what they
Barrows
had,
was
something.
right up the street.
Before they built
We
BPM.
frequented that place quite a
Yeah.
bit. So yeah. Yeah, I just find it funny that now we're worried about the historic use of site as a farmland, which may have utilized pesticides and herbicides. I mean,
Yeah, I guess I don't understand that thought,
No.
that line of thinking.
I don't either.
Like I said, because Hawks Ave is already known to have an issue with pollution.
and I'm curious what it's tangential to this. What is going on with we might not be able to move the fields? Why would that be a possibility?
No, that has to be approved. And
Oh,
that
right,
has-
right.
yeah.
Okay, so
They
some of
still
that
got
might not
they
be
still
able
have
to-
McQuon building study going on, so
Okay.
they haven't even decided what they're gonna.
Yeah, so that committee is scheduled to meet this evening
Yeah.
as well. So
Oh.
at least we can start that.
What time are you guys meeting?
I mean,
6.
I don't think it
Oh,
would
is
be
this
prudent
planning?
to pay for like a building study and then
The committee.
being able to put those buildings on that property, part of that study, before we know that we can even move the fields. Kind of putting the cart
But
before
it
the
might be
horse.
worthwhile, though, to move forward with that,
Yeah.
to show people,
Yeah,
basically that this is the best option
I think
Yeah.
so.
for the highway department.
yeah.
So I think it would be a good move to move forward with that.
At least for the building study portion of it, not
the,
moving to
right, the
phase 2.
feasibility study,
Yeah.
and then include the fields.
Yeah,
Because
To let people know that
it gives us that another step of the 100
Right.
years step that we,
Yeah. So, I mean, what people have to understand is that baseball fields are not an essential,
No.
part. Yes, it's essential as far as activity and recreation for the kids. But that should not stop the town from being able to build a new highway building, which is in dire need. I'm sorry, but if it comes down to an essential service or a perk, we're going the essential service.
Yeah.
Those baseball fields are a perk. Remember that. They're a perk. So when we're looking at our budgets and things like that over the next year, we're going to be looking at what's essential and what's a perk.
Yeah.
So the perks might need to go away if the town does not want to vote to keep them. So it's just thought.
yeah.
But I think we should move. I think we should get quotes.
Yeah, but we need to know what the actual. This is the. This is a land in question, which is part of their preliminary
right.
study that incorporates that. So until we get this approved, I mean, how can we, in good conscience, do a design for this site unless we know what the actual boundaries are ultimately going to be?
Right.
So that's a lot. With this other land incorporated, it's the same size as Hawks Ave. With a smaller portion, then it's going to change the whole design. So,
Well, doesn't the town own all that land?
But it has to be
Doesn't the town own that
approved.
property?
It's the town forest, right?
well,
Is that the town forest?
part of it.
Yeah.
So that has to go through conservation then, if it's the forest.
Well, the planning board, right?
Well, hang on. So first thing, the Weston, Tony DeFries, town planner. Weston and Sampson's phase 1. They recommend the phase 2 is if we're ready to build. I think part of it too may be the fact that they don't want to go into the fields and let's say cause any damage, intrusiveness.
Yep, because they dig.
Right.
Yeah.
They'd rather do that type of work when they know that we can go in there and do whatever we want.
Right.
Because you've either are going to move the fields or more than likely you have moved the fields.
Right.
So I think that's maybe one of their hesitations.
I don't blame them. That's a good thought.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Now the configuration of the property is about 6.5 acres, but there was a Form A done that increased it to 9.5 acres to include the encroachment of one of the ball fields in the town forest.
Right.
So that Form A plan was not approved by the planning board at the time. There was 3 members and it was voted 2-1, and you need all 3 for it to be approved. So then it was withdrawn. Physically out there have been monuments, concrete monuments set at the corners of the lot that you see in the
Yep.
Form A.
Yep.
So yes, that Form A would have to come back before the planning board to include that. Now, one of the issues is, yes, that encroachment is in town forest, and that town forest property was created by legislation, my understanding. So you have, I think the town as a, let's say, a completely honest oops, built the ball field in the town forest because they probably just didn't know where the property lines were.
Right.
And so there has to be something done there because there is some acreage that is still town forest. So either A, you have to look at that to get that, to either get that 3.5 acres to highway out of the town forest, or you move and use like 6.5 acres versus 9.5 acres. And I had done a plan that showed use of the 6.5 acres, which incorporates everything that was shown on the Hawks Ave site plan done some years ago with the salt sheds and the storage bins, and also the creation of 2 buildings, each about 50 by 100, and allowing the existing buildings like the police station, the current highway department building to remain on site. So that 3.5 acres is sort of, if you want it as part of highway, there's some steps that need to be taken to make that so. If for some reason that can't be done, then you work with the 6.5 acres that you have, and I think that's still plenty to accommodate enough buildings and space to have highway, work out there. I mean, I don't know. If
Yeah, because the Hawks Ave was similar to the 9 acres.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would kind of be.
So I mean, sort of like physically on the
cramped.
ground at 9.5 acres because
Right.
they did the Form A, it didn't get approved, but they set the monuments to go along those property lines,
Right.
which is not a bad thing, I guess, because now they know exactly where they stand.
So does planning just have to do something? Did they just have to vote that, or does it have to be
I think you have
reapplied
to look. I think you have to look at that 3.5 acres and say, okay, that was town forest. What do we need to do there
to
first?
change it?
Yeah, can you just take it? What do you need to do there legislatively to, let's say, remove those 3 acres and give it to the town for use of highway?
So help me understand. Legislatively, you mean the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is involved?
Well, my understanding is that this is chapter 90. Is it 79 or 97?
I'll have to look.
Yeah.
Chapter 90 speeding laws.
I'm not trying to.
Chapter 9 is road improvement.
Yeah, no, but I was saying 97. I'm not sure if it's 97 or 79, something like that. So basically, when it was created as a town forest, it had to go through, I think, the state. You may want to talk to from conservation and Phil.
Yeah, conservation. Frank would know.
Yeah, Frank and Phil probably have a lot of knowledge.
So, what's the acreage right now of where highway is now?
6.5.
It's already on the 6.5.
Yeah.
Everything. Okay. So
With the ball fields.
Yeah. So in other
With
words,
just the ball field?
Yeah, just the ball fields.
So your total site was 6.5 acres, and that's with the ball fields. So if you took if all the ball fields went away, that's what you'd have area to use, and that's still sufficient area if for some reason you can't get that extra 3.5 acres.
yeah. So I mean, your plan that you drew up included the 3 acres, or
No.
only included the
It didn't.
6.5. So yeah, so that still gives highway
we're
plenty
fine.
of space.
Well, again, it's the Hawks Ave was 9 acres. This would be 6 acres, and it's on a hill, so you're going to be limited to, again, material storage, piles of loam, and it's not really enough room. I mean, the 9 would be a lot more preferable.
Yeah.
If you're going to go through the exercise,
Well,
it would make a lot more sense to do the expanded site because you're going to be very limited on space, equipment, and the biggest thing is like storing material, because right now we have stuff up in the park a lot. I mean, we have stuff behind the ball field. I mean, it's going to be a really tight operating area.
Yeah,
it could work, but it's not optimal.
Ideally, seems how I would try and get the 9.5.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go through the exercise.
So
make it
3.5 acres is in question. The
Yeah.
plot is 6.5 acres. That makes it 10 acres. Just making a point.
Yeah, and that's what Hawks Ave was.
Yeah, it's 10 acres total, right?
9.5 total.
9.5.
It'd be 9.5.
Okay, so something's all right. I'm just I'm a math kid in my head, and it's like
Yeah.
3.5 and 6.5 is 10.
Let me.
Sorry.
And another thing is that they're really concerned about the back, the pond area.
Wet.
So having the material
It's
like
wet.
that close to the pond, if you had more space, you could get it away from.
Yeah.
Because
where
that's
you
one
are
of the
now is
complaints
not
of
close to the
Burridge.
pond?
It is. It's right on top of the pond where we store stuff.
Why would they be concerned? Because you're already on the pond.
It's part of the corrective thing. They want us to
Shouldn't do
put
it.
a retention pond back there. They want us to put, all kinds of environmental
Shouldn't do it.
protections in there as we stand now. So the new facility would be subject to that also. But if we could get it further away from the pond, then it would be less restrictive the further we can get from
Do
there.
we have a copy of their plan of what they were, with the ponds and everything else on it?
Well, that's just for the existing highway facility, what improvements they want. They want like a retention pond put to kind of drain into first and then to filter out into the pond. And that's going to be,
Conservation wants that?
No, that's part of the stormwater management.
Oh.
MS4 permit. We have time for that, and it's on a list of. I think Tony did a thing for 5 town buildings and highways, like the 5th one in line.
Environmental partners.
Yeah, so if we're going to do the new facility, why spend money to do that improvement if we're just going to be rebuilding? So, but it is an improvement they want done in regards to stormwater.
So it sounds like we need that 3.5 acres.
It would be a lot easier to build on that site
Yeah.
and be less restricted to what we could do if we had the more space. Yeah.
So that would
That's
be
something to think
interesting.
about.
Is there any, is it just town forest there? Is there any wetlands or anything right there as well? Like, what type of challenge could we expect from conservation on that, for that 3.5 acres, do you think? Just kind of speculating.
Well, I just think it becomes a case of what do you need to do to get it from
Because they're already
one
using
entity
it.
to the other.
Yeah, they're already using it for the fields.
I think the encroachment obviously was just done in error just because of lack of knowledge of where the property lines were.
Yeah.
And it's just now a matter of, okay, we're over here, and can we hold on to that and just transfer it for another use? And what's the process you need to go through? Do you need an act of Congress, or is it something a little simpler?
So that would be something we'd need to get town council involved in, to see what we need to do, what process we need to follow. Okay.
What else? What else? Are we done with this because we can approve the meeting minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, I guess why don't we set a plan,
Yes.
our homework, so to speak. So Tony and I will work on that 3.5 acres to see what the town needs to do, to release it from whatever hands hold it, so that we can include it in the acreage for the highway.
Right, for the
We could always
Yeah.
present the conservation by having that bigger footprint. We can stay away from those town areas, forest areas where we have a bigger footprint, so we won't be like right up against the edge of it if we're limited in that space.
Yeah.
And, we could have more of a buffer
Okay.
and do a better design for the whole area, I think.
So do we have Weston and Sampson on board to do a design for that? Let's say do a design moving you away from.
Well, they
that
haven't done any design
area?
yet because they're kind of waiting to see what they have to work with for the land and what what's going to happen with the field.
So do we have a proposal from them with prices?
Yeah, they sent that to you,
quotes?
didn't they, Tony, with the under 60,000 for the 2 phases?
Yeah, it was the phases. There's no design work as far as if you talk about buildings and the infrastructure.
Well, just a design to maybe design something that moves it away from that area of concern. If we can get that extra 3.5 acres, do you know what I mean? So if we can show that it would move the highway buildings or area away from the water. Is that what it is? There's a pond back there.
Well, it's just all conservation land back
the conservation
there.
will move it away from the conservation land with use of that extra 3.5 acres.
I don't know. They haven't given us. They've all they've given us is the site assessment stuff.
Yeah.
Phase 1 and phase 2. There's no pricing as far as doing any preliminary plans to show here's where your buildings would go, parking, drainage, etc. They haven't done anything like
So,
that.
I'm just wondering if we could use that as a bargaining tool with conservation to release that 3.5 acres, if indeed that's what has to happen, or is it just a matter of a town meeting article and a vote? So that's what we have to find out. If we could just put that forward to town meeting, then we could get that into this annual town meeting because we still have a little bit of time.
Okay.
So we'd have to work and see.
I get the impression that it's a bit more complicated.
Complicated. Okay.
Yeah.
And we should probably. I know that you said it's a perk, but those ball fields are important.
Of course they're important.
No, I know.
I'm not diminishing diminishing that
but
at all.
I want to make sure that we have some kind of a plan forward because people are going to freak if.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
So
down all that fancy new loam,
Which can be reused.
we can take it up and we can move it.
They haven't actually done it yet. They're still working.
Oh,
on
really?
it.
They haven't even put it down yet?
The whole idea, if I may, is this obviously has to be done in steps.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about 15,000 for a after they have the site layout for the to like scope the buildings or get a
I mean, the key thing is before you put a highway building in, the fields have to move.
Right.
So if it is determined that the field, everything here can go to McQuan, and McQuan becomes the new athletic complex, and the names of all the fields stay the same. They just
shift.
They just shift.
Just shifting them to a better location, actually.
I think so too.
Then you can get into now we can start citing where a building's going to go,
Right.
parking, drainage, septic, storage.
Well, I think your whole plan there is awesome. I'm completely on board with that. I want to see that happen. So that's what I'm saying. Do we have a McQuan reuse committee?
They're meeting tonight.
They are meeting tonight too.
And we will provide. We'll have copies of.
I can't come
that
to any of these
vision.
meetings because I have bee
us.
school tonight, and we're starting to order the bees. So I'm stuck.
Yeah, so that committee is meeting this evening.
Special bees.
So we will have copies of the vision available for everybody to.
Just a plan. Just
The plan. Just it's like I said, the vision. A vision.
it's Lisa's vision.
No, it's not my vision.
Wish list is idea.
The vision of so people can at least vision what it could look like. Because right now you're just working with an open field.
Yeah, I mean,
It wouldn't hurt to introduce it and then see where people want to go.
I mean, it solves, at least in my mind, looking at it, it solves the issue of highway staying right where they are centrally, library being able to stay where they are
And get bigger.
and get bigger,
And the senior center.
yes, exactly.
I definitely want a bigger senior center.
Library, both get bigger, stay where they are. Highway can. It also saves on. If you can keep them where they are, it saves the town money on procuring space
Right.
for any of these departments to move to,
Exactly.
because you have that cost. For instance, where the town I live in, the library was redone in the same exact spot it was in, and it was made bigger. But during that process, because there was so much construction, they had to procure space elsewhere or a lease for over a year. So there's that extra cost that Hanson would have to incur finding a space to move the highway until.
Right.
Something that the environmental partners came up with is installation of a bioretention area requiring approval of conservation and Mass DEP. So they're going to need like a retention area on site to
definitely.
and that's going to take up space. So if we had that additional land,
Right.
There's no doubt that any new construction out here is going to have to meet the stormwater management guidelines.
It's interesting to me that they did this little swiggle back here. I mean, I wonder what prompted this, the way they did this.
That was because the existing conditions plan is just that. They were asked to do existing conditions of the site.
Yeah,
I think there's piles of material back here.
Oh, is that what it is? So it was on. It was
Kind of
already
on the
Yeah.
land,
So
yeah, stuff
that was
that's been there.
encroachment. This is encroachment.
Yeah.
So they just kind of incorporated all the encroachments.
Yeah.
Okay. And then one other thing,
Because right now everything kind of flows off the back of the property down to the pond.
And of course, that was one of the complaints at Hawks Avenue is that you're going to put a salt
which
sources
the
right
state
on
said
the
they
wetlands.
would object to.
Yeah, they'd object to that.
Because
so
it's
we
right
have to
in
make sure
vicinity
that doesn't happen
So
here.
I mean, if you had the salt shed here, you could have your bioretention area back here. That's going to eat up a good portion.
Right.
Of if you have it on the existing plot, you're going to end up with less space.
Okay.
So
The one thing, just so the pond is there, but there is quite a distance.
Yeah, there is. It's space back there.
Yeah, but it would be obviously
But all the water runs off right down to it.
Yeah, it goes towards the pond.
unfiltered.
Goes down a hill.
Yeah, right now there is no, we'll say drainage that would meet today's standards.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I had a question. Steve Graham, Highway Supervisor. Is the McQuan Street area where the school got knocked down, is that just a no-go for the highway at all? Being it's not near the pond, now we're trying to add stuff. Is that area viable for a highway? Is it big enough?
I should, Lisa Green, Town Administrator. So I think what the concerns were is that it's right across the street from the school, from the school, and it's also right next door to the senior center and library. So noise for the trucks were a concern going in and out. And now you're again, you've got the salt shed and things like that right next to where they played football and soccer, and there's a playground right there. So there are a lot of concerns about environmentally and with the noise and the location being right by a school, by a library, by a senior center. They play flag football, little football, soccer, and playground. So
Wouldn't we take that whole field over and they would play football like where we were? We'd take down our buildings. And have all
That's
that
on a
extra
main
spot.
road. And one of the other concerns is getting the cars off that parking area, the main road, and having an easier access off of School Street.
It's not to cross the street.
Was that?
Not having to
Yeah,
cross
they don't have to cross the street.
Yeah, the Route 58 concern.
The answer to your question from my perspective is no, there is no difference. It's acreage. Is it the best site? No, I think where this here is the best. Better
Oh no,
site.
I agree. It's a good site, but I'm just saying
So the answer is
lot.
it's a cleared lot. Could you build a highway department there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have acreage, absolutely. Is it the better of the two? No.
No, because then you're going to have salt deliveries, heavy trucks going in that back School
And
Street.
that's what you have to look at. I mean, one thing
pedestrian traffic.
One thing with this too is, like I've said, is you take all these fields, you take these kids, you take this traffic, now you put it on a side street, and that's a lot better.
Yeah, definitely better. I just
From a
want
safety.
to throw it out there. Saying,
But
we got a lot.
the answer is yes, it's acreage, but is it the better of the two sites? No.
Yeah.
From a
Okay.
planning standpoint or an engineering, I would say no. This is the better of the two sites.
Yeah. We're not dealing with a pond or anything.
Well, there is wetlands. That's a 17-acre site, I think, and the back goes back towards McQuan Pond, I think, doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay, I just figured I'd mention it. We'll see.
Like the one thing that I look at, if all the fields go to the McQuan site, is now you can combine the McQuans, let's say in athletics. If we plan it right, maybe you could have a walking trail that would help a walking path that would help the seniors. They can go for a walk around there. The library. It sort of puts it all together across from the schools. It's a safer side street, which improvements to School Street could be made under safe streets and stuff like
Well,
that.
I understand. I've had just a bunch of people come to me and say, "Hey, why don't you put it over there? It's already done."
Oh, yeah.
So now I have some stuff to go back and say, "This is why we're not doing it. It's not really safe."
Wasn't School Street at one point supposed to be a dead end?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it really?
They're talking
Where
about
were
closing
they
off
going to dead end it?
on 58.
Really?
That would be a good idea.
They were going to dead end it. So you basically just came in from the library side.
Okay.
So there would be no more foot traffic or no more cars. So Sullivan would just basically have his dead end road.
You just make it a one-way too.
Yeah.
But
But then it does work for the bus traffic. It works
Right.
for, like you said, a whole bunch of other things. No more of that in front of where you guys are now, all that traffic going across the street to pick up kids anymore.
Right.
Now they change all that.
yeah, that's just unbelievable. I mean, they start lining up and then they park in that dirt road across the street, so they can cross the
I
street
know,
and go pick
I
up their
know.
kids. That is just not. And
No.
It doesn't make any sense
It doesn't
to me.
make
I'm
sense.
It
sorry.
never made much sense to me having the ball field and all the children playing right next to a highway facility anyway.
Exactly. No,
Yeah,
that
I
never
know
made
that.
any sense
Yeah.
either.
It's kind of insane.
I mean, I'm guessing they worked with what they had.
Right,
yeah.
right.
At the time.
It
I
was
mean,
there.
with a new building, one thing too that would happen, Steve, is the entrance obviously would move to the center of the lot, which gives you guys a much better sight line, sight
To pull in
distance
and
to
out.
pulling out, especially heading towards the town hall because you have that curve there.
Right.
It would reduce that. Give you a better sight distance.
It is a busy road, and
Yeah.
we tend to sit there waiting a little bit to get out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Is that our plan? We have
some homework,
we have
yes.
some homework to do. All right, so I need a motion to approve the minutes of the July 11th, 2023 meeting. Did anybody see anything wrong with it? I did not. It looks good to me.
Second.
No, I need the motion first.
Oh,
You need to motion it.
that's how we do that again. Okay, remember?
Yep.
I motion we accept the minutes that were presented to us.
Second? Second?
Second.
Are you a second? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Which we never ask at select board meetings. I want to make that point.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Before we adjourn, may I suggest that we try and schedule another meeting?
Sure. So we have accountability for our homework.
If we could do it after the next building committee meeting.
When is that?
Well, there's one tonight, but again, after the next one, then we'll kind of have a better
Give them
idea where
two.
they stand.
Give them 2
Give
meetings.
them
Yeah,
meeting?
we'll have it right after the next building
We
meeting.
schedule something in April?
Yeah, sure. Let me just. This time is always Tuesdays and Thursdays are always good for me. I know that you guys are working too, so tell me what works. Is this okay?
Meetings during the day, I love them.
I know. Plus, I don't like to drive at night. I'm getting old, so. Let me see. April. Like when is it? What meeting? Do you have meeting dates for those? The
Building committee,
second
not yet.
one.
They just completed starting the committee tonight.
Oh,
So I'd say what, the 23rd or the 30th? Or no, 25th?
23rd or the 25th?
yeah, that'd be great.
April 25th?
Let's do April. Let's do the 25th, so we're not
Yeah.
coming here twice
That's
on
Do I want
the
to do the same
23rd.
time?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
10:30?
not. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and that point, we should have a lot more information on that 3.5 acres and what we need, what we are required to do so that means it won't make it for the May town meeting, but we possibly have October.
Yeah, we can have October.
We could.
I think that would be better. You'll have more
Focus towards-
information.
We'll have a lot
Yeah,
more
thought
information
out,
by
yeah.
then.
So if we do have to go that route.
Okay. So I move that we adjourn the meeting. Oh, I can't. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Salute.
Come on. Come on.
I move till we're done.
Okay, we're done. All those in favor? Aye, aye, aye.